The BUL Armory Ultralight Pro. That's a lot right there in its name. Is it ultra? Is it light? And the Pro, well, it has these ports, which means we have a ported EDC gun. Like, it's pro. Like, this is ultra, it's light, and it's pro. That's what we're talking about today. My name's Dave. Thank you guys very much for tuning into the channel and spending a few minutes with me learning about a relatively new gun to the market. This is part of the SAS 2 series from BUL Armory. If you're interested in other reviews that I've done, I've also checked out the TAC Pro. I'll put a link at the very end of this video. And I'm also going to put a link to zeroing your red dot. So if you have any questions about that, if you're new to the red dot stuff and you want to get that zeroed, stick around till the end and I'll have a card on those as well. If you guys like the content, like, share, subscribe. I love reviewing guns and I love answering questions. So in the future, little teaser, I am going to be doing a comparison between the Staccato C and the Ultralight Pro. So if you have any questions on what you want compared, or if you are on the fence about one versus the other and you want me to talk about one thing versus the other, make sure you leave a comment down below and I can make sure to address all of those things when I do the comparison video as well, because I think these two are probably the most compared, at least the conversations that I've seen online, that people want to know how does the Ultralight Pro or Ultralight compare to the Staccato C. So I will be doing that in the future. But right now we're just doing a review on the Ultralight Pro. Now, you guys know that I'm not a big spec reader, but a few quick highlights. This is a 3¼ inch barrel with a V6 ported barrel. That's what makes this really cool. So check this out. We'll just get that right out of the way. Now, what's cool about this is it does have a V6 ported barrel. V6 meaning there's 3 ports on one side and 3 ports on the other, and then that corresponds to these cutouts in the slide where we have these ports that help with the recoil. That's what makes it a pro model. All of the BUL Armory Pro models means that they are ported. So this is a very nice compact gun, but it also shoots really flat thanks to those ports. Now, I did have some concerns maybe about accuracy, things like that. So I did do some accuracy testing. Stay tuned, we'll get to that here in a little bit. Other quick specs we're gonna burn through. It is an aluminum frame. Optic ready. It does take Armis C style footprints, and it does come with a spacer plate that locks into the lug. They're calling it the BAO, the BUL Armory Optic Micro System, and it's very robust. The plate fit really nice, the optic fit really nice on the plate, and it's not even really a plate as it's more of a spacer because we're actually screwing into the slide. So you just have to make sure you have the proper screws, but optic mounting was no big deal. Now, one thing I will get right off the bat with optic mounting is with the BAO Micro System, there is no rear sight. So I switched over. I actually started with the EPS and then I swapped to the EPS carry because you can see that the EPS carry does have these little nubbins of a rear sight that I was kind of using as a backup sight. Now the hold is off. You will have to adjust your front sight to match that or just kind of know your hold. I might do a future video on that. Just because what I like about this is now this is a nice out-of-the-box solution. And honestly, these are just here as like a just-in-case. Alternate aiming techniques work just fine, but if you are interested, this does offer a solution, but there is a caveat to that there is an offset. So as far as other stuff, the magazines that come with it are 16+1, which is great, but what's nice with all BUL Armory SAS 2s is that if you have a bigger brother, like I have the TAC Pro with the larger magazines will fit, albeit they will just stick out a little bit. So if you wanted to carry maybe this configuration and then have this guy as your spare mag, and then if you ever had to, you can swap out, no big deal there. This is their compact grip, which kind of matches the magazines, which we just talked about. Capacity, like I said, is 16+1 for those smaller mags. It is a PVD finish as well as anodized on the aluminum. I had 0 issues with the finish and everything like that in my review. Now here's what's also cool. What I really like about BUL is that they give you a nice carrying case and they include all of the stuff that you're pretty much gonna want in the carrying case. So you get a total of 3 magazines, which is great. Like I said, if you have others from the bigger platform, that's awesome. They give you some swag, your owner's manual. They also include a mag well and pin. I elected not to run that because generally on like a small carry gun, I probably run them a little slim. So I did not put the mag well on, but they include that with the pin. They include a lock. And then they also do include a rear sight, but dudes, it's 2025. You should be running a red dot. So this, take off right away, put a dot on, and then of course a patch, which I'll throw up on the wall. So not bad. That's what comes in the box. Now let's get to the range. How does this thing shoot? Well, that was a 10, 10, and 10 from concealment, 779, and that's 100. Maybe I have to bump the 0 down just a little bit, but I'll show you guys target. There's most of them are right up there. I had one a little bit low, so I think I'm going to drift my 0 down just a little bit. But that was a 10, 10, and 10, easy. Now, a lot of dudes ask me when I go to the range, how do I stay so fashionable? Well, it's because of this week's sponsor in part, and that is Defense Mechanisms. They make this Helion pullover. They also make different versions of it as well. So if you want the different material, if you wanted, solid colors, they have multicam, they have quarter zips, they have hoods, they have collars, they got it all. Plus they also make other soft goods like plate carriers, things like that. Legit dudes, I've been using the MEPC plate carrier for years. That's what I used when I was still on patrol. And these Helion jackets are nice, they're lightweight, a lot of different options, and they are all made in the United States, in Minnesota, in fact. I've met the owner. He is a good, solid dude. He is a shooter designing gear for shooters. Case in point, look at this. When I put my ears on, the hood fits just fine right over my ear pro, making shooting at the range easy. If you guys want to save on some Defense Mechanisms, I'll have a link below. You can also use the coupon code in the link down in the description and shown on the screen. Save yourself a little bit of money. It also helps support the channel. Seriously, some of the best soft goods, plate carriers, gear, whatever. Check out Defense Mechanisms. Can't thank them enough for their support of the channel. Let's just check ejection quick. Let's do an ejection test. Okay, ejection was at about the 230. About that 230 with this particular ammo. 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Bottom line up front, this thing is a shooter. One of the things I'll just kind of sneak peek right off the bat, how it compares to the CS. The CS is a little snappy for a small 3.5, sub 3.5, double stack type gun. This thing shoots flatter and softer. Now I know what you might be saying, but Dave, you're not comparing apples to apples because this is ported. And yes, that's true. Would the ports help? Yep. But it also, not does it just help, I feel like, but the weight and balance and the recoil system, I just have less of that snap, and it's just a flatter, softer shooting gun. So very, very pleasant shooting experience for a subcompact carry gun. Plus you have 16+1, which is great, and you do have interchangeability, which, say what you will, that's one thing that Staccato can't do on the CS line. Now, yes, it's compatible with the C magazines, but it's not compatible with 2011 magazines. So one thing I will say about BUL is right off the bat is they have one magazine platform, and as long as it meets the minimum length requirement, bigger is better, you're good to go. No issues whatsoever there. Other things I really liked about the gun are the ergonomics. The grip texture is really good. Like I said in the TAC Pro video, I wish that this texture would wrap around the front and the back. They have kind of more of a traditional checkering on the mainspring housing and the front of the gun, but that's minor. This texture feels really good. It's aggressive where it locks in your hand really nicely, but if you're carrying it against you, it doesn't scratch or cause any irritation, things like that. The trigger guard is nice and high and undercut, as well as with a double undercut. So again, that grip, it just feels really good in the hand. The ergonomics on these little BUL guns are absolutely great. Speaking of ergonomics, the serrations on the front and rear are a nice deep serration, and if you kind of look at them from the front, you can see that they have a little bit of an angle to the cut as well. So it kind of locks into your hand as you manipulate the serrations, front or rear, but yet if you were going the other way, it's almost like a one-way serration, if you will, but very easy to manipulate the gun, very easy to grab and, if you had to load, make ready, do your stoppage clearances, whatever it might be. Ergonomics on the slide grip are great. Speaking of the safeties, it does have an ambi safety. So on either side, it is about equal distance on both sides of the frame and the slide. but very easy to manipulate the controls. The safety also has a really nice blend to it, especially for a production gun, so this is done really well. And the safety and slide stop are also now machined. On some of the other models, they were molded or cast before, so it's nice to see more machined parts as well. A quality MIM part or cast part is still that, it's a quality part, but a lot of people prefer machine parts, so it's nice to see more of that on the gun. And the grip safety functioned really well, engaging about that 50% in order to disengage that safety mechanism. So again, the grip safety was very easy, no resistance, it felt great, no issues, thumb safeties were great. And the hammer is more of a low profile hammer. Now if you're carrying it cocked and locked, you don't have that additional bob. It doesn't have a traditional 1911 hammer spur on the back there. So just kind of something to notice that you should be obviously carrying this cocked and locked. I just want to make sure that's clear. But ergonomics, controls, everything is great. The mag release is threaded in case you did ever want to add an extended mag release, you certainly could. And then what I also really loved about this gun is that trigger curve. It is kind of that hybrid curve. It's not a straight trigger, it's not a traditional curve trigger. I like to call these like a hybrid curve. And I found, speaking of the trigger, this thing is nice. I mean, seriously. Very, very nice. They have their trigger pull weight listed. Some people have said YouTube doesn't like to talk about that. I don't know. I did weigh it. Mine is just about a hair over 3.5. Certain weight measurement units, I don't know what that might be, but just over 3.5, which some might say is a little light for a carry gun. So yes, you could adjust this and make it a little heavier if you want. But I found that, man, out of the box, you get that take up, and then it's a great crisp break, like a little bit of that roll feeling, which I really like on a 1911, but no grit. And there, help if I cock it. There we go. Yeah, everything that I like in a high-end 1911 trigger, they have done right out of the box. There's just that little bit of take up. We hit that wall, and then we break that trigger. It's nice and crisp. Arguably some of the nicest 1911 triggers, period, not just for production guns, but some of the nicest 1911 triggers, like right out of the box, that I have felt. I've shot guns that are more expensive than this that don't have as nice of a trigger out of the box. Now obviously the high-end guns, the semi-customs, the customs also have a nice trigger, but this is approaching that level of trigger right out of the box. So if you're looking for a great trigger, awesome. Now one thing you'll note is that barrel is a silver finish. I would love it if they could do like a PVD, DLC finished, whatever, so it's all kind of a blacked out gun. And then I would like it if, you know, maybe they could cut that crown flush with the slide. I think that would just be sharp, but that's just cosmetics. That is fashion over function, and I like function over fashion, and this thing functioned absolutely great. Now right out of the box, I took it out of the box, loaded it up. I did have a couple of stoppages. I like to shoot guns right out of the box just to kind of see and get a feel for it. I noticed it was really dry out of the box, so as soon as I added some slip EWL, which by the way, you can use the code shown to get a discount on all your purchases. It does help support the channel. This made it run just fine. It just needed a little bit lube, which is fine. And then every few hundred rounds or so, I did add a little bit of lube, because obviously with the ported guns, as you can see, they do get dirty. And that does, cause some carbon and things like that for the gun. You'll start to feel it as you shoot it. It will start to cycle just a little bit different, and you'll know that it's starting to get dirty, needs a little bit more lube, or it's dirty and dry. So I have about 1,500 rounds, and after I added that lube and maintained lubrication, the thing ran awesome. Let's quick tear it down, and I'll kind of show you what's going on under the hood. So teardown is very similar to your other 1911s. Obviously, remove any magazine, ammunition from your work area, make sure that it is safe to do so. Look in the magwell, loading area, and chamber, and verify that the gun is unloaded. Then we are simply just going to pull the slide back so that the cutout in the slide is even with the slide stop, and we can take out the slide stop. The slide will move forward. We're going to compress that spring and guide rod. Grab your paper clip, if I can grab it with my gloves. Insert that paper clip in the hole like so. And all right, once we have that compressed, we can then take out the guide rod, kind of leaving everything here. Be careful, this is under spring tension, so you want to be careful. You don't just want to let this paper clip come out and then have the whole kit and caboodle launch all over your shop or poke you in the eye. That's bad. So we're just going to set that aside very carefully. Then we can rotate the link forward. and rotate the barrel. Now, first things first, like I said, this thing is dirty, as you guys can see. I generally don't clean guns during the review cycle, and I got about that 1,500 rounds through this. So it's dirty. I've been shooting it as you would expect, right? I'm not just one of those guys that gets a gun, goes to the range for a day, and then does a review. That's not my style. I like to actually shoot some stuff, let other people shoot it, etc. But overall, looks really good. I like what I'm seeing underneath the hood. No machining marks, no excessive wear. Yeah, everything looks pretty solid. Let's kind of check our fit with the link and the slide stop. Yeah, everything fits really nice. And I'm not seeing any excessive wear or anything on the slide stop to give me any concern in about that first 1,500 rounds, which is nice. As far as the slide goes, again, I'm not seeing any machining concerns, any excessive wear, burrs, etc. underneath the slide. Everything looks good, albeit it is dirty. So if I was ready to clean this, which I'm probably going to keep shooting it for a little bit, I'm going to wipe off some of this gunk and crud so you guys can see just kind of what I'm looking at here. But everything looks pretty solid underneath the hood. Yeah, not seeing anything. So looks pretty good there. As far as the bottom end, I'm going to give it a quick wipe down just so again we can kind of see things. Yeah, as far as the wear, everything's looking really good for about that 1,500 rounds. No major concerns whatsoever. Everything looks really nice. Yeah, I like what I'm seeing. Now, their disconnector is a little bit different than your traditional 1911 disconnector, so that is something to look at. And then the ejector does appear to be a MIM part as well. You can see by these little circles there. So I'm not sure if they're going to swap that over to machined in the future or not, but that is something just to take note. All right, so I told you how it shot as far as like feel, recoil, impulse, everything shot really nice. Recoil, impulse, tracking, etc. was all great. But as far as accuracy, the thing shot really well. I like to do my accuracy testing at 25 yards, and I was able to hold these groups that I'm showing you on the screen. So it shot really well. I was shooting off the tripod. These are 124 grain, just bulk ammo from Global Ordnance, which, speaking of which, if you guys are looking for ammo, make sure you head on over to my website because Global Ordnance is the biggest supporter of the channel. They provide all of my Freedom Seeds. You can't make pew-pew content without Freedom Seeds to grow into lovely videos, dudes. So head on over to Global, check them out at your local shops, dealers, or you can go to their website. Check out my website, and I'll have codes and all that kind of stuff too. But definitely check out Global Ordnance. They've got it all, and they're pushing it out to your dealer networks or support your local businesses as well. Now, back to the gun. All in all, for a sub 2K gun, street price on these is going to be under 2K. Now, here's the one downside, is that availability is tough. As soon as they hop on the website, boom, they immediately sell out. They are trying, dudes. They know that demand is high and supply is limited. They are trying to get as many as they can to you. Okay, right now they are generally like direct to consumer, which means you'd have to go to their website, have it sent to your dealer where you'd have your transfer and background check and all that happy stuff done, and then you can get it in your hot little hands. And I gotta say, it is worth it. Would I buy one? Absolutely, I would buy one. I really like this, and I really like the TAC Pro as well. I don't know, again, why it took me so long to get on the BUL train, but I really do enjoy shooting their handguns. I'm gonna have more BUL content coming. I'm in line, I believe, for some future BUL guns, which I'm particularly excited about because so far everything that has come across the bench that I've gotten to the range, I have been impressed with. So these are cool little guns. I think you would like it. Now, as far as holster compatibility goes, I know my friend Roger over at QVO, he has one of these as well, so he's going to be making holsters. But what I was working with was I had my QVO Wingman. Obviously, the spare mag didn't fit, but with a light, the gun did fit. And then also, again, once I put a light on it, it did fit in this Tenacore Sega as well. Obviously, you have to adjust it a little bit, but I believe more and more companies are going to start to come out with compatible holsters. But these are both CS holsters, and like I said, they worked with just a little bit of changing of the tensioning knobs, but I know that my friend Roger over at QVO is going to be coming out with holsters for this model as well. So that's going to be a great option for you guys if you pick this up. Otherwise, spare mags and stuff are all available on their website. They come with 3, which is good. If you want more, generally I like quantities of 6, so you can order extra magazines, so that's cool. But really not a whole lot negative to say about this thing, which I try to be picky and I try to be critical on most everything. I guess the one thing I would love to see is if there was a plate option with a backup rear sight. I don't know, that's just the traditionalist in me, so I would love to see that. Again, not a deal breaker, but if I was like on my wish list, I would love to see a rear sight option, maybe that texture wrap all the way around, and then like I said, maybe the barrel finished in a black or a PVD or something, and then flush cut. But that's my minor grievances. So all in all, dudes, I really like shooting this gun. It shot really well, it's compact, it's affordable, it checks all the boxes. Hope you guys like the content. If you do, please like, share, and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. And like I said, if you've stuck around till the end here, if you want to learn more about the TAC Pro, which is the full-size big brother to this, which is a flat-shooting, awesome range gun, you can go ahead and click on the video over there. And if you want to learn more about how to zero your handgun red dot, you can click over there. And if you want to subscribe, you click somewhere else, wherever that is pointing. So thank you guys very much for watching, and have a great day.